today we get to look at a Pokemon card in a Magic the Gathering video. That's crazy! Well, what is going on, everyone? Welcome back to Kitchen Table TCG. My name is Louie, and I hope you're having yourself a fantastic day. I hope you had a great start to your short weekend, or short week. Hey, today we saw this release of a Wilds of Eldraine cinematic anime trailer, or spoiler, or excitement, or whatever, hype video for the Wilds of Eldraine set, which has been such a good and awesome standard release. So excited about. But seeing this anime trailer and this 3-minute clip for Magic the Gathering made me revisit a thought about the idea that I firmly believe that Magic the Gathering needs to invest and that Hasbro needs to invest in a Magic the Gathering series, whether that be an animated series on Netflix or something of the sorts of a live action thing. Simply put, this is a conversation we've brought up a couple times on the channel, but I wanted to flesh it out a little bit more for you. If you take a look at something like Pokemon, right? One of the reasons I love collecting, and I love, I guess you could call it investing in, for me, vintage Pokemon, but in Pokemon in general, is that I firmly believe in the IP. As I've gotten older, I have noticed that Pokemon seems to get more popular with kids than even when I was a kid in the 90s. And it seems like Pokemon, I have this question all the time. People come into the shop and they say, is Pokemon, I see it's kind of big, is it just a fad? And I say to them, if it's a fad, it's been a fad for 25 years. This thing is lasting. And that is because their stories, their video games, their animated series, their movies bring together the bigger culture that is outside of TCGs. And so at the end of the day, I know and I feel secure in collecting and investing in Pokemon as a result of, I know in 20 and 30 years, there's going to be an audience for that brand that's going to care. When you flip that and you look at Magic the Gathering, it's a little bit concerning, right? It's a little bit concerning, especially seeing them pick and cherry picking all these different brands for their Universes Beyond stuff. And you start wondering, does Magic the Gathering really have an identity? Do people really understand the story? Do people really have a connection to the brand of Magic the Gathering? Or are they going to run out of things and people aren't going to really fall in love with it? And don't click away there. Don't just get angry. I know there's a lot of people on the internet who know a lot about the Magic the Gathering lore. Shout out to Purple, the Magic historian. I know there's a lot of you who love the Magic lore, but I'm firmly in the camp that most people who play Magic the Gathering don't know the lore. They don't fall in love with the characters. Maybe they have a favorite card or maybe even a favorite character just because of the artwork, but they probably don't even know that character's backstory. And it's rather impressive how successful Magic the Gathering has been without modernly investing in that brand, in that IP. If you look back, they did the fat packs. I know we're calling them bundles now, but they did the fat packs where they had the book, right? Where you read and you understood the story that was going on in the world of Magic the Gathering. I've mentioned on my channel a couple times now, the Ice Age box that I have, and the inside of it, or on the front of it, the cover of it actually, it tells the story of what's happening on Ice Age. And now the boxes just say, oh, there's a bunch of shiny foils and there's a bunch of shiny stuff, and the investment in IP and the investment in story just isn't there. And so I believe that's kind of the negative side, but the positive side of this is that I actually believe that Magic the Gathering has a little bit of a silver bullet, if you will, a little bit of a thing that they can fall back on if things ever get significantly bad. And with all these new games popping up, One Piece is huge right now. It's pretty popular, at least in our area, and it's popping off. And obviously Disney's Lorcana, all these games that seem to be built upon IP and brand and storytelling, I think as Magic the Gathering sees those, and first off, I want to say, I think like Lorcana actually works well for Magic because people come in, they learn how to play a TCG, they kind of get older, and maybe they gravitate toward a more complex game like Magic the Gathering. And I think it actually works really well. I think in a lot of ways, Magic just wins because of the wide audience that plays Magic the Gathering already. You walk into any LGS and you're going to see people playing the game of Magic the Gathering. But let's go back to the lore. I think as Magic sees a lot of these brands excel and grow as a result of their storytelling, they will see, and they probably are already aware of this, that they have that in their back pocket. There is a rich and deep storyline that they can come up with and that they can write utilizing the characters that we do know and that we do love. And I think like an audience like Netflix or whatever would go crazy for a well-produced animated series, or a well-produced, even if it's a live action. I think I prefer animated, but just preferences. But it would go crazy for that, and it would be a very, very large success, not just within the world of Magic the Gathering's ecosystem, but actually growing outside of that and bringing people in back into the game, but also into the fold from a new audience. And so I think that that's a silver bullet that they have. And to me, as much as I look at Pokemon and I feel security in that they are already doing this and they've been doing it for 25 years and it's been successful or whatever it is, I do have a little bit of security in that Magic hasn't done it and they have been so successful. And I do have a little bit of security in that I know that they've had the conversation, right? They had the Russo brothers from Marvel working on something at Netflix. God knows what happened to that. But we know that they do understand it a little bit. It just seems that in this season, it's easier for them to just, cherry pick different things like Lord of the Rings and Warhammer and, but the problem I have is how many things can you cherry pick before you run out of the best, right? You've already gone Lord of the Rings. You've already gone Warhammer, which seems like a very, typical thing that you would go with. It's already in a lot of LGSs. It's already in the ecosystem of, the minds of the Magic, nerds, if you will. But once you start doing like Doctor Who, I start wondering about the success of that Universes Beyond thing. How wide are you really going to go with something like Doctor Who? And I think over the next 2 or 3 years, we're going to see them picking and choosing in Jurassic Park and all these things. We're going to see them selecting these, and at that point, they will have to make a decision. Is this enough? And is there enough things to rotate? And is there enough excitement here? Or do we need to go back to there? Do we need to reinvest and retell the story of Magic the Gathering and of the planes and of those things? And I think I'm a firm believer that we will get there in 3 to 4 years. And I feel a lot of confidence in that. That will drive a lot of hype and excitement back into the game. And so that's why I'm calling it this like silver bullet, right? Like they don't need it right now, but I feel like they have it if they need to go down that route. So anyway, I'm super curious to hear your thoughts on all this. I think it's a wild thing. I saw that Wilds of Eldraine, video and spoiler, and it was just so cool to see the Magic the Gathering cards, coming to life and to see kind of the story. And man, I just left me being like, man, I wish this was a trailer for something that was coming out. I felt the same way with like War of the Spark when they did that the awesome trailer for War of Spark where man, we are glued to the screen when they put this stuff out. It is really, really cool stuff. And it's pretty, for most of it, other than, what was the one they did last year? I don't remember what set it was, but like they got the whole storyline wrong. I think it was March of the Machine. They got like the storyline wrong. Like the creative team for the video didn't know how the story was going to go in the set, so like it didn't set up right. Other than that one, they've all been super well done. And man, it just leaves me wondering, like, what if they just did it? Like, what if they just put out like a whole season of story and lore for us to engage with on Netflix or whatever? And anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts about that. Hopefully you have yourself a fantastic day. Be kind to the people around you. And we'll see you again next video.